Hey everybody, thanks for tuning into Things Your Father Never Told You. Today, I don't even know what the topic is going to be because I had my first subscriber tell me that I sounded like I was talking off of a transcript and that my voice sounded unnatural. And in a way, it is unnatural, especially if I'm reading. But even if I'm not reading, it is a little bit unnatural because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to train myself to be an orator. I'm trying to train myself to be able to speak effectively so that no matter what speed I'm speaking, somebody can understand me. And I'm also trying to be more professional, like somebody in the media, where you can understand and they can get their message across. People in the media and people who read audiobooks and people who are great orators, they are trained to be able to say and emphasize words so that you can understand the main words. So the little words and the fillers, like the articles and some of the minor verbs in between, do not have emphasis on them because they don't need to be emphasized, because the only words that you need to hear so that you absorb the material are the ones that matter. While I agree that I am very bad at it and I am still trying to learn, I don't think that I should try to go back to how I used to speak before. What made me realize that proper speech is actually more effective is when I went to the dentist and decided to get my teeth straightened. I'm in the middle of the process of going through Invisalign, and as soon as I put the retainers in, I realized that I had a serious lisp. And when I tried to speak to my customers, nobody could understand me, and it was a real problem. And I also sounded like a complete nerd. So what I did was I trained myself to use muscle memory and to speak from the back of my throat, which is much more effective, and people can understand me, and I don't sound like a retard. But the problem is that anytime you train yourself to do something new, it sounds a little bit unnatural. But if I spoke as quickly as I needed to speak, and then if I emphasized every single word that I needed to emphasize, and if it wasn't edited, like this isn't edited, you would be able to understand exactly what I'm trying to say because I would be emphasizing every single syllable that mattered. So imagine a situation, okay? I want you to imagine a situation where, let's say, the British are coming and there's a revolution, and you need to give people direction as to what they're going to do and how they need to respond. Somebody has to be fast enough to think and say what they need to say. Otherwise, you're all going to crumble and burn. I want to be the guy who knows how to lead. I want to be the guy who can speak as fast as he thinks. So understanding which words to emphasize is actually easier because your brain is able to process the words that really matter, and the words that don't matter just fall into the background. And I've even noticed that even in social situations that my mind is active and it's working much faster, and then I don't even really have to think about what I say, I just say it, and that is better. It's better because I'm saying exactly what I feel, and I'm saying exactly what is required for the social situation to process and go through exactly how I want it. I don't want to fumble over my words. I really don't. I want to be really good. And the thing is that when you chop your sentences up like this, though it sounds unnatural, your brain is processing it in chunks so that you never make a misstep. This is how people who don't even use transcripts are able to speak for long periods of time and not talk in circles. How do politicians speak without a transcript, without a teleprompter? Now, most politicians do speak with transcripts and a teleprompter. However, there have been a few presidents in the past who have not used teleprompters, including our current president. And yet they seem so smooth. And they seem to be able to deliver what they need to deliver. And they seem to never really mess up. And the reason that they do that is because they chop everything and they control the way the inflection is so that it sounds like the sentence never ends. So that whenever they have to edit or whenever they have to put something in, it sounds smooth. That's what I'm trying to do, is trying to learn how to be smooth. Because if I can learn how to be smooth, then it doesn't matter what situation I'm in, whether it's business or whether it's personal or whether there's actually heat. Now, I want you to imagine being under fire from an investigative reporter, and that investigative reporter might as well be an FBI agent, and they might as well be talking to you and trying to get you to say some stupid thing to try to ruin your reputation. Well, how are you going to manage this? How are you going to be able to control this? And if you don't have the muscle memory to be able to speak perfectly effectively, you're going to fumble on your words. And just because you fumble on your words, you're going to misstep and say something really stupid. I refuse to be that guy, and everybody should. Because if they want to be successful, they need to understand that one day, when they are successful, they're going to be in the public eye. I may never get there, and I don't even know if it's my goal to get there, but I am damn well going to be prepared that if I ever have to go there, I can. What's interesting is, since I started following this cadence and this speech pattern, it's been so much easier. My boss has been associating with me on a different level, and it's because I've been challenging him. Just like I've been challenging the people around me in different locations, whether it's women at a bar or a customer. This is behavior that I normally wouldn't have, but because my speech is so well under control, it is much easier because I can make people engage with me. And the reason why I can make people engage with me is because the sentence doesn't end, and it's smooth, and it's controlled. So as soon as I feel like I'm in a position of weakness, it's not noticeable, because my words don't get messed up. And I truly believe that this is something that the ruling class practices, but it's something that they keep hidden from the middle class and the working class. Now, you can be an effective entrepreneur and you can run your own business, but if you can't manage people and you can't make people think that you're unstoppable and you can't control everyone, well, then you're not going to be as effective. You need to not show weakness, and you need to constantly be that guy that always has the answer, and that guy that always responds the right way, because if you make one misstep, then you're going to be criticized, and that criticism could be a bad review, and it could damage your reputation. And unfortunately, in business, in politics, in relationships, in everything, reputation means everything. And unfortunately, you have to have good publicity. Now, you can use bad publicity, and bad publicity can be good, but that's only good for you if you have a good reputation, because what that does is it creates a controversy, and the controversy creates arguments, and then you become a massive topic. See Donald J. Trump. Donald Trump is successful because he is a controversy, and he's always been a controversy, because he's always gone against the status quo, but he has always had results. And not only has he had results, he's had a product that people can't compete with. So whether you agree with his policies or not, you have to understand that this man has a following. And if you want to be successful, you have to have a following. I don't know if this channel is going to give me a following, and it's really not even about me getting a following, but what it is about is it's about getting other people to understand what I'm trying to understand, because I'm sure a lot of people are tired of being in the working class, and a lot of people are tired of being wage slaves, but what the problem is that they don't understand the secret language of the next class. That next class speaks in something called power talk, and it uses a lot of subtext, and essentially what it is it's a manipulative language. It's a language that most people don't understand. My whole life I was clueless because I'm not trained in this. And I don't really know anybody who is. But as I'm starting to develop it, I'm starting to see the people who are. Now, honestly, me releasing this information is something that would probably scare people around me because they would be like, well, if he knows how to manipulate people and he's like, dealing with business and people who know how to manage people, well, is he trying to manage me? Is he trying to manipulate me? And the thing is yes, everybody manipulates each other, but most people don't realize that they're doing it and how it works. But if you want to be effective, you have to understand how it works. And once you understand how it works, you need to not abuse it. A father manipulates his child so that his child follows the rules, so that his child is more effective, and so that his child doesn't hurt himself. And the child also tries to manipulate the father because the child wants to get his way. So, no matter what social situation you're in, you're dealing with a manipulative power structure or power struggle. And you have to understand that power struggle. Now, the problem is when people start to understand this language, they don't at first understand how to speak it, but they understand how to read it. And when they understand how to read it, they don't have the emotional discipline necessary to not get offended because they think that that person is manipulative. But what they don't realize is that everybody is manipulative. So what you need to do is you need to not have an emotional response. And you need to understand that that other person is just trying to look out for themselves, but they're also trying to look out for you. Typically, in the case of a parent, they think that what they're telling you and how they're guiding your behavior is helping you. A lot of the times, a mother will tell you something that will make you feel discouraged. And she'll do that because she's trying to protect you from ruining your reputation if she thinks that you don't have the skills to succeed in the sector that you're going in. And a lot of times your father will either manipulate you to rally you to give you more strength, or he'll do the opposite and he sees you as a threat. So what he'll do is he'll belittle you in a competitive manner. And that has nothing to do with whether that person or that parent is a good or bad parent. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with their emotions and how they feel about themselves and how they feel about you. And what they're doing is they're simply just trying to preserve their relationship with you. In the case of in the case of them being competitive, like the father, what they're trying to do is they're trying to even the playing field, so that you're not above them and they're not above you, so that you're on the same level, so that they continue to have the same rapport. That's all it is. Everybody is manipulative, and that's okay. But you have to understand how you are manipulating people, because if you don't understand what you're doing when you're doing it, you will never be effective, and you will constantly give off the wrong message. And you will ruin every relationship that you try to create, or every relationship that you try to hold. It's really not that difficult of a concept, but people are too stubborn to have introspection. Today, I had a situation with my boss, where my boss was saying he was tired. He was tired of thinking. And usually, I would take the more submissive route, and I would be in more of a consoling manner, and I would be like, hey, that's okay. Everybody gets tired of thinking. And that's more of a feminine role, in a way, if you think about it, because what I'm doing is I'm appealing to his emotions, and I'm trying to make him feel better. So what I'm doing is I'm taking a caregiver response, and that's not what a man is supposed to do. And that's not what a superior is supposed to do. That's not what a leader is supposed to do. So as his employee, I am supposed to take the submissive response. But instead, what I did was I told him, well, first I asked him, what are you tired of thinking about? And he said, I'm tired of thinking about what I'm supposed to do with business, and I'm always having to make a decision, and I'm always having to figure things out, and it's always a problem. So I responded, so what you're telling me is that you're tired of being a man. That was an interesting response, because what I was doing was I was trying to create competition, but at the same time I was also trying to rally him so that he would have strength. In that regard, I took a moment of his weakness, and I decided to take the superior role, and I decided to be his leader, even if it was for 5 seconds, just to pull him out of his pity pool. Because he doesn't need to think like that, and if he thinks like that, he's going to start slipping. He doesn't need to slip. So I was being manipulative, but I was manipulating him in a good manner. And because I did that, the entire power system between him and I changed. And he decided to call me a couple times throughout the day. And typically our exchanges would be comprised about me being given advice from him. But this time, he decided to talk to me about a lot of the issues that was going on in his business and a lot of the things that he was struggling with management. And what I was doing was I was providing a role that he needed to rally him, to make him feel better. And what I was doing was telling him to man up, which is something that he needed. And that is something that I typically wouldn't do. And because I leveled the playing field at this point, he's begun to talk to me more about his business strategies because he knows that I've made it to a different level. And he knows that I'm not soft. So instead of our interactions being like he's my superior, we're now having more of a banter, and we're on the same level. And all this has been achieved because I've been focusing on having a clearer message and having more confidence in my speech and not showing any weakness ever. That is the difference. And that is why I'm going to continue to work on my oration skills and continue to work on my delivery. Thanks for listening.